Hello everyone, welcome to the daily newspaper analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy, 20th January. Displayed here are the list of articles that we will be discussing today. The first article, researchers develop framework for antimicrobial susceptibility test. The article is taken from the newspaper Live Mint. In this topic, we will be discussing the basic about antimicrobial resistance and what are the initiatives taken by the government against it. And the next article, 9 navies joint drill. The article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu, which is talking about a joint multilateral naval exercise organized by France, which is held in the three important straits of Southeast Asia. And in this topic, we will be discussing the basics about the event, and then we also see INS Mumbai, the naval ship of India participating in the multilateral naval exercise. The third article, poor demand hits private sector investment. The article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu. In this topic, we will be discussing what was the reason behind the fall of private sector investment in the third quarter of the financial year 2024-2025, and then we also see some of the important data from the newspaper. And the last topic, Election Commission used tech to strengthen people's power, Prime Minister. The article is taken from the newspaper Indian Express. In this topic, we will be discussing the basics about the Election Commission of India, its functions and its significance. So without much delay, let's get into the discussion. And before moving to the discussion, there is an important announcement from Shankar IAS Academy. Shankar IAS Academy's UPSC mock interview 2025 will be held in the following dates. Do register and get evaluated by the former UPSC board members. Don't miss this opportunity. The link for the registration will be given in the description. EC, Election Commission used tech to strengthen people's power, committed to fair polls, Prime Minister. So recently the opposition in India has raised a lot of concerns regarding the practices and the transparency of the Election Commission of India. So addressing this in the first edition of the Man Ki Baat, Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated the Election Commission for using technology to strengthen people's power in the democracy. So in this background, let us discuss more about the Election Commission of India from the prelims point of view. So Election Commission of India, it's an independent constitutional body established under Article 324 of the Indian Constitution, and it was established in the year 1950. And Article 324 of the Indian Constitution talks about the Election Commission, and it empowers the Election Commission to oversee, direct and control elections to parliament, state legislatures, and also to the office of president and vice president. So the ultimate objective of this constitutional body is to conduct free and fair election, which is one of the foundations of the democracy. And coming to the composition of the Election Commission of India, initially it was a single member body consisting only a chief election commissioner, and this remained as a single member body from 1950 to 1989. And in the year 1990, there was a change. It became a multi-member body for a short period of time. And again in the January 1990, it became a single member body and continued as a single member body till 1993. And again in the year 1993, it became a multi-member body, which includes a chief election commissioner and 2 election commissioners. So once again, I repeat, since 1950 to 1989, it was a single member body. For a short period of time, it became a multi-member body. And again in the year 1990, it again became a single member body and continued as a single member body for the next 3 years. And since 1993 to 2025, it is continuing as a multi-member body with 1 chief election commissioner assisted by 2 election commissioners. And the present chief election commissioner is Rajiv Kumar, and the first chief election commissioner was Sukumar Sen. And coming to the tenure and the removal of the chief election members of the election commission, the tenure is 6 years or 65 years of age. That means they will serve up the tenure is for 6 years or until they attain the age of 65. So which is coming first, they will resign according to that. And coming to the status and the salary, the members has equivalent status and salary to the Supreme Court judges. So why this chief election commissioner or the Election Commission of India itself is somewhat equal to the Supreme Court? Because it has a lot of similar features. For example, independence, security. The Election Commission is an independent body. That means executive has no say in the Election Commission. At the same time, the members are appointed by the President of India, right? And the salary. So like the case of the Supreme Court judges, the privileges or the salary of the members of the Election Commission cannot be curtailed when they are in the service. So this is similar to that of the Supreme Court, or similar to that of the judiciary. So in lot of way, the Supreme Court of India or the judiciary and the Chief Election Commission is similar. And coming to the removal of, and the salary is fixed by the parliament only, like in the same case of the judiciary. And coming to the removal of the members in the Election Commission of India, the Chief Election Commissioner will be removed by the the president. That procedure is known as impeachment. That is also similar to that of the Supreme Court judges, which means the removal is not an easy procedure. You have to pass a resolution, and the resolution has to secure a special majority in both the houses of the parliament. Then the Chief Election Commissioner will be removed. So it is a difficult procedure, and other members of the Election Commission, that is other election commissioners, can be removed by the President of India on the recommendation of Chief Election Commissioner. So the removal has to be done only on the basis of proved misbehavior or violation of the Constitution. And coming to the major functions of the Election Commission of India, the first major function is conducting free and fair election to Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, state assemblies, and also to union territories and offices of president and vice president. And second is preparation and revision of electoral rolls. And the next is delimitation. Delimitation means rearrangement of the boundaries of the constituencies based on the latest census. So this is done to ensure fair representation to all communities and population within the Indian society. And then the regulation of the political parties. The political parties has to register their party before the Chief Election Commission of India. They have to be recognized by the Election Commission of India, and the symbols for the election will be allotted by the Election Commission of India only. And the next is model code of conduct. So when during the time of election, the political parties and the candidates has to follow certain protocols. For example, they should not use they should avoid vote bank politics. At the same time, they should not use hate speech. So if there is any violation in this protocols, the Election Commission has a kind of judiciary authority to take action. And the next is what is education. That means educating the people regarding the importance of election and the importance of fair elections, because we know that still we have a money bank politics, right? Because we know that the people are manipulated by the political parties in various illegal ways. For example, giving money for vote. At the same time, brainwashing the people using caste or religious identity. So educating people regarding the importance of the election is very important. And for that, the Election Commission of India has launched a campaign on a sweep. That means systematic voters education and electoral participation. And the next is addressing malpractices in the election, that is monitoring the election, the political parties participating in the election. And the political parties has to submit their election budget before the Election Commission of India. That means how much they received and in what was the means of that received money and how much they spend. And the Election Commission also suggested a maximum limit of financial expenditure for the candidates. For example, there is no limitation for the political parties, but there is a limitation for the candidates from the political parties. For example, in large states, a candidate can spend up to 95 lakh in a constituency. Coming to the small states, it should be limited within 40 to 45 lakh. For example, in the case of Goa and all, the candidate should not spend above 40 to 45 lakh. In the case of Uttar Pradesh or Bihar, a candidate should not spend more than 95 lakh. So coming to the evolution of the Election Commission of India, like I mentioned, it was established on 25th Jan 1950 to conduct the first election. In the year 1960s and 80s, the Election Commission introduced, in the 1960s itself, Election Commission introduced electoral photo ID or election card. So this is to avoid the malpractices, prevent the malpractices during the time of polling. And the next is in the year 1990s, like I mentioned, since 1993 it became a multi-member body. And in the year 2004 they introduced universal use of electronic voting machines. And even before 2004, that is in the mid 90s itself, they introduced the electronic voting machine, but in the certain constituencies only. But since 2004 it became it started using in every constituency in India. And since 2000, so if you say that the major turning point was the introduction of the VVPAT, that is voters verification paper audit trial. So that was introduced in the year 2013. So what is this VVPAT? So once the voter cast their vote, it will give a confirmation that the voter casted for the right person. That means the details of the vote will be displayed on a screen in a slip for some time, for nearly 7 to 8 seconds, not more than that. And after that, this VVPAT will be stored by the Election Commission of India, and this VVPAT is also very useful to to address the post-election controversies. That means the Election Commission can go for double check to ensure that there is no there is no error in calculating the votes. So this VVPAT was a turning point in the Indian election history. And next is the usage of other technologies for election commission. For example, we introduced blockchain technology for remote voting. And coming to the other innovations and reforms taken by the Election Commission of India, in the case of technology, introduction of EVMs in the 1990s, and VVPAT in 2013, and the use of mobile apps and online registration. So this is another sense, we are moving towards an inclusive election, we can say. And the next is the model code of conduct that is established, that is brought to prevent the misuse of resources and also to ensure fair election. And expenditure monitoring, so tracks the campaigning spending. So like I mentioned, the Election Commission has fixed, they suggested that in the large state, in a constituency, a candidate should not spend more than 95 lakh, and in the case of small state, it should be limited between 40 to 45 lakh. And introduction of nota, that is none of the above. So in this case, if the voter is not interested in casting vote to the above candidates, then he can go for none of the above. And the next is postal voting facilities. So this is another sense we can say that it is a step towards the inclusive election. So it gives opportunity for the senior citizens, armed force personnels, and also NRIs and people with disabilities. So they can also vote from their home itself or from the place where they are. So this ensures the more participation of the people, at the same time participation from the marginal sections too. So coming to the MCQ, so in this topic we discussed what is Chief Election Commissioner. In this topic we discussed Election Commission of India, its basic features, its objective, Chief Election Commission, the composition of the Election Commission of India, and what are the latest innovations taken by the latest reforms brought by the Election Commission of India. So based on our discussion, try to answer this prelims practice question. The question is, consider the following statements regarding Chief Election Commissioner. Statement 1, the Chief Election Commissioner holds office for 6 years or until age 65, whichever is earlier. Yes, the statement is correct. The President can remove the Chief Election Commissioner from office on the Prime Minister's recommendation. Which of the above statements is or are correct? Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 only, option C, both 1 and 2, and option B, neither 1 nor 2. So like I mentioned in the beginning, the statement 1 is absolutely correct. We discussed that, but the President cannot remove the Chief Election Commissioner on the recommendation of Prime Minister. That's not possible. So I mentioned that the removal procedure is known as impeachment, and that is similar to the removal procedure of the Supreme Court judges. So it is not based on the recommendation of the Prime Minister of India. So the answer is option A, 1 only. Yes, the correct answer is option A, 1 only. Option B, that means the statement 2 is incorrect, because it is not based on the recommendation of Prime Minister. So with this, we will move to the next article. 9 navies hold joint drills in strategic straits between Indian Ocean and the Pacific. The article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu, which is talking about a multilateral naval exercise hosted by France, that is La Perouse. So who was La Perouse? We all know La Perouse as a place in Australia, but La Perouse was actually a person. He was a French Navy officer, and from the 18th century, and he was appointed as the head of the scientific exploration by the French government in the year 1785. And we know the importance of multilateral naval exercise, right? It is very important to ensure the maritime cooperation, security, at the same time also to strengthen the relations between the nations. And coming to the case of organizing this event in the eastern waters, because we know that the Indo-Pacific is very important strategically, and we know it also has certain conflicts. For example, the conflicts between the China and the nations in the Southeast Asia. If you look carefully, you can see the event is organized by France, a nation from Europe, and it is joined by several nations in the Asia. So therefore it ensures this operation, this event plays a very important role in ensuring free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. So in this background, let us discuss more about the news article. So first we are going to see the Straits of Significance. So this naval exercise will be held in three important straits in the Southeast Asia, that is Malacca, Strait of Malacca, Sunda Strait and Lombok Strait. So before that, what is meant by a strait? Strait refers to a narrow passage of water which connects two major water bodies. So here in this map you can see the Strait of Malacca here, and the Sunda Strait and also the Lombok Strait. So here you can see the Strait of Malacca. It connects the Indian Ocean with the South China Sea. In the case of Sunda Strait and Lombok Strait, they connects the Indian Ocean with the Java Sea. So what is the importance or the significance of these straits? First we are going to see the Malacca Strait. So like I mentioned, it connects the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea, and it is located between the peninsular Malaysia and Sumatra in Indonesia, and this strait handles nearly 40% of the global trade. At the same time, it also has security concerns. And the next is the Sunda Strait, which is located between Java and Sumatra, and it links the Java Sea with the Indian Ocean. And the Lombok Strait, it is located between the Bali and the Lombok, both in Indonesia only, and it connects the Java Sea with the Indian Ocean. And coming to the multilateral naval exercise, that is Le Perouse, and it is initiated by France, and it is to enhance the maritime cooperation and interoperability in the Indo-Pacific region, because I already mentioned Indo-Pacific is very important strategically. At the same time, it has commercial importance because of the trade. And another thing is the domination of China and the conflict between the Southeast Asian nations and the China. And a few years back, there was a concern that the China was disposing the nuclear waste into the eastern waters, and this is polluting the major source of livelihood for the people in the Southeast Asia, that is fishing. Other nations are also participating in this event, that is Australia, Canada, France, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, UK and USA. And focus interoperability, maritime awareness and crisis management. And what will be the significance of this multilateral naval exercise Le Perouse? That is, it will pave way for free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific and strengthens regional security. Because like I already mentioned, the domination, the growth of China, and recently Japan, they are also going for remilitarization. So please note that. So this is also this changes the dynamics of the eastern waters. And the participation from India, INS Mumbai will be participating in the multilateral naval exercise. And the next is IORIS, that is it is an information sharing platform. So in this multilateral naval exercise, the countries will be also trained to use this platform too. So we will see what is this information sharing platform. So this IORIS, that is Indo-Pacific Information Sharing Platform, it is launched in the year 2018 to as a maritime tool, as a tool to share the maritime information. So what is the significance or the important features of this platform? So it provides encrypted information sharing facility, which means only the receiver and the sender will know what was the information. So if in between, if anyone tries to decode the information, it is nearly impossible. Therefore it ensures neutral and reliable source of communication. And the purpose is to analyze, plan and coordinate maritime operations from Western Indian Ocean to Latin America. So you can see it covers a vast region in the world. And the next is it enables real-time information exchange regarding the maritime threats, and also it connects the domestic and international stakeholders regarding the challenges in the maritime. It also connects the domestic and international stakeholders regarding the maritime crisis and challenges. And coming to the INS Mumbai Delhi class destroyer, so INS Mumbai will be participating in Le Perouse. And so let us discuss some of the basic information facts regarding the INS Mumbai. It is commissioned in the year 2001, and it is equipped with the surface-to-surface missiles and the surface-to-air missiles, and it also has anti-submarine warfare facility with the sonar and radar system to detect underwater threat. So if someone is trying to attack the ship from the underwater, so it can easily detect. And it uses gas turbine and diesel engine which provides high speed, and it also has facility for helicopter operations. So these are the basic features. It is equipped with both the surface to surface missiles and the surface to air missiles. It has anti-submarine warfare systems including sonar system and radar system, so it can detect the threat from underwater, and it uses gas turbine and diesel engine which provides high speed and has helicopter operation facility. So in this topic we discussed the multilateral naval exercise La Perouse, and then we discussed the Indo-Pacific information sharing platform, its basic features, and then we also saw some of the information facts, important fact regarding the INS Mumbai. So based on our discussion, try to answer this prelims practice question. The question is, consider the following statements regarding La Perouse exercise. It is a multilateral naval exercise hosted by France in the Indo-Pacific region. The exercise primarily focuses on humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations. And statement 3, India participates in this exercise along with the countries like USA, Japan, and Australia. So the statement 1, it is correct because it is hosted by the France only. And statement 2, the exercise primarily focusing on humanitarian assistance. No, it is primarily focusing on maritime security and crisis management. So it is not primarily focusing on humanitarian assistance. Therefore, the statement 2 is incorrect. Statement 3, India participates in this exercise along with the countries like USA, Japan, and Australia. That is correct. So the answer is option C, 1 and 3 only. Statement 2 is incorrect. Yes, statement 2 is incorrect. Option C, 1 and 3 only is the right answer. So with this, we will move to the next article. Poor demand hits private sector investments. The article is taken from the newspaper The Hindu. So this article is talking about a decline in the private sector investment in the third quarter of the financial year 2024-2025. So in this context, we will be seeing some of the important data from this article, and then we are going to see the reasons behind the decline in the private sector. So first we are going to see some of the important data. So in the third quarter, there is a decline in the private investment by 1.4% comparing with the previous quarter, and the domestic private projects itself got declined in the previous year, that is in the quarter 2 it was 1253, but in this quarter it is just 1061. And coming to the sectoral wise performance, the certain sectors such as the mining, irrigation, and pharmacy recorded growth, while there is a contraction in the sectors of construction and automobiles. We know that the manufacturing sector of India he still needs more encouragement to perform well, because that is the area we are lacking even today. And coming to the infrastructure investment, there is a slight increase by 0.8%, that is to rupees 4.25 lakh crore. And coming to the electricity projects, there is an increase in the there is an increase by 21.9%, that is to rupees 4.5 lakh crore. And out of this new projects, and out of this total electricity projects, 39.3% of the investments came from new sources. And coming to the state level dynamics, Rajasthan, it recorded an increase in the investment around 3 times, that is to rupees 2.25 lakh crore. And Tamil Nadu witnessed a decline in the investment by 60.8%. And coming to the foreign investments, it is down by 44.2%, that is to around rupees 1.02 lakh crore. Now we are going to see the reasons behind the decline of the private sector investment. The first is the weak domestic demand, because recently we saw that there is an increase in the rural demand, but there's a decline in the urban demand. So the weak demand, it is due to the reduced consumer power to purchase, and this will eventually reduce the demand for goods and services. Simple theory. That means there is no demand, then the supply will be impacted. So if there is less supply, or if there is less opportunity, eventually the investment will fall. So this is a simple theory. That is how it is working. Because of the weak demand, there is a less demand for the goods and services. Therefore, particularly in the urban area, therefore the investment itself is falling. And the next reason is the high inflation, because of the increased cost of raw materials, and this is one of the major reasons behind the contraction in the automobile industry and the construction sector. And at the same time, this high inflation can discourage the investors from making long-term investments. And the next is rising input cost. Like in the case of high inflation, here also the input cost, for example, the cost of steel, cement, and energy has increased, and this particularly impacted the manufacturing sector. So high inflation and high rising cost both are almost interrelated, and in another sense they are similar. And another is the geopolitical uncertainty, that is disrupted supply chains or the increased import cost can discourage the investors. And finally, the policy uncertainty in a nation, this will make the investors more precautious before investing. At the same time, other regulations and other concerns related to the subsidies and government policies can discourage and make the investments delay. So these are the major reasons behind the decline of the private investment in India. So in this topic, we discussed the key data from the newspaper, and then we discussed what are the reasons behind the decline in the private sector investment. So based on our discussion, try to answer this prelims practice question. The question is, which of the following sectors can lead to a decline in the private sector investments in an economy? The first, high inflation and rising input cost. Second, weak consumer demand. And third, policy uncertainty. And four, increase in the foreign direct investment. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Option A, 1, 2 and 3 only. Option B, 1 and 4 only. Option C, 2 and 3 only. And option D, 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Correct answer is option A, 1, 2 and 3 only. Increase in the foreign investment cannot lead to a decline in the private sector investment in an economy. Therefore, rising inflation and rising input cost can discourage the investors. And weak consumer demand. If there is less demand, then there is only less need for supply. If there is less need for supply, then there is only less need for investment. So therefore, that can also lead to a decline in the investment. And policy uncertainty in a nation regarding the taxation, subsidy, and the government policies can also impact the investment. So therefore, 1, 2 and 3 are the factors which determines the investment in an economy. Factor 4 is also there, but all the 3 factors will lead to a decline in the investment in an economy. Therefore, the answer is option A, 1, 2 and 3 only. So with this, we will move to the next article. Researchers develop antimicrobial susceptibility test. The article is taken from the newspaper The Live Mint, which is talking about a framework developed by the ICMR, that is Indian Council of Medical Research, and the Central Drug Standard Control Organization against the antimicrobial resistance. We know that antimicrobial resistance is one of the major challenges to our public health these days, and according to WHO, it is considered as the top 10 global public threat, one of the top 10 global public threat. So in this context, let us discuss more about antimicrobial resistance. So first of all, we are going to see what is meant by antimicrobial resistance. See, we know that the organisms, from microorganisms to humans, everyone in this environment went through a lot of changes. We can say that genetic variation. So over a period of time, the organisms will experience genetic variation due to various factors, and if these genetic variations are positive, then they will survive. The organisms will survive. If the genetic variation is negative, then they will perish soon. So this is one of the fundamentals of the Darwin theory. And antimicrobial resistance occurs when microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, virus and parasites become resistant to the antimicrobial drugs or antibiotics. And like I mentioned, it is considered as one of the top 10 global threats to the public health according to WHO. And what will be the cause behind this antimicrobial resistance? Broadly, we can say it can happen in both natural as well as in anthropogenic way due to anthropogenic reasons. Natural reasons, like I mentioned, genetic variation will happen, and certain microorganisms, including the pathogens, will become immune to the antibiotics. So this is one way, but there are anthropogenic reasons too. First of all, that is the overuse or the misuse of the antibiotics by humans and for the livestock. So we know that the humans has a tendency to treat themselves, right? Especially during the time of general health illness, for example, for common cold or flu, we will become doctors and we will take medicine. So this kind of tendency can lead to misuse of the drugs, which will eventually make the bacteria or the virus immune to the drugs. And the next is the use in the livestock. For example, we know that colistin, it is considered as a last resort antibiotic used to treat the livestock. So this colistic will be mixed with the feed and will be given to the cattle. And what happens that overuse of this colistin, or sometimes the inappropriate use of this antibiotics, can create resistance in the microorganism. And the next is inadequate diagnostics or delayed treatment. We know that the doctors sometimes, without precision diagnostics, will give a broad an n number of antibiotics to their patients. So this will also lead to misuse or the overuse of the antibiotics. And the next is the poor infection control. That means the lack of hygiene in the health sector or in the medical staff. At the same time, lack, for example, lack of sterilization or the poor sterilization of the medical devices can also make the microorganism resistant to the medicine. And finally, the unregulated biotics. For example, even today in many medical shops, the people can get the medicine including antibiotics without prescription from the doctor. So this will eventually lead to overuse or the misuse of the antibiotics and other medicines. And what is the significance of this present diagnostic framework? So standardized validation to ensure the safety and performance, better performance of diagnostics. And the next is faster approval. That means the developers or the innovators can give fast approval to the modern or the developed diagnostic tools which are used for, which gives a precision or accurate information regarding the resistance of pathogens and all. And the next is timely diagnosis. So timely diagnosis is very important, because we know that the people if they get some cure from their infection or from the disease, they has a tendency to discontinue the course of treatment. So this will leave the microorganism or the infection untouched in your body. This will eventually lead to variation, and eventually the pathogens will become resistant to the medicines. So timely diagnosis, at the same time following the or completing the course of the treatment is very important. Therefore it will contribute to reduced or the reduced misuse of the antibiotics. And finally, compliance with the rules and regulations, for example the guidelines of the CDSCO, and at the same time medical device rules 2017. So medical device rules 2017, it gives explosive focus on diagnostics and medical devices. For example, it classifies the medical devices into low risk, moderate to risk, risk to high risk, and very risk. So ABC in 4 categories. So you can the innovators or the approval, the authorities which are giving approval to this medical devices can give more importance when according to the category of the devices. For example, the pacemaker, they are included in very high category. That means if you are giving a pacemaker to a person, if you are implanting a pacemaker in a person, it has to work properly. If you are giving a damaged or if there is any fault in the pacemaker, that can even create fatality in the people. So it categorizes the devices into 4 categories. So therefore the authorities which are giving approval to these devices can also give that much importance based on the type of the medical devices they are giving. And coming to the key organizations mentioned in the news, that is ICMR, that is Indian Council of Medical Research, and it is apex body for biomedical research in India. And it was actually established in the year 1919 as the Indian Research Fund Association, and after independence we renamed it as the ICMR. And then we have the CDSCO, that is Central Drug Standard Control Organization. It regulates the medical device drugs. So it is working for the better quality, ensures the better quality of the drugs. And it is working based on the Drugs and Cosmetics Act of 1945. And coming to the certain efforts taken by the government of India against the AMR, that is antimicrobial resistance. First, we have the National Action Plan on AMR, which is focusing on surveillance, prevention, and control of the antimicrobial resistance through proper awareness. And then antimicrobial resistance surveillance network, it monitors the pattern of the AMR. And next, awareness campaigns which make the people aware about the judicious use of antibiotics. And finally, the ban on cholesterol, that is prohibited in animal feed. So like I mentioned in the beginning, this cholesterol is considered as a last resort antibiotics, which means if no other antibiotics are useful or it is not responding, then you can go for this cholesterol. That is a final option. It is used as a final option, and this cholesterol will be mixed with the feed and it will be given to the cattle. But at the same time, this overuse of this cholesterol can create resistance. And recently studies are also found that the microorganisms are becoming resistant to this cholesterol too. and this colistin will eventually reach the food chain, and ultimately it will be reaching the humans only, and the presence of this colistin will lead to damages of kidney and other neurological disorders in the human beings. So therefore it is a danger to both humans, and the misuse of this colistin is danger for animals too. So in this topic we discussed antimicrobial resistance, then we saw what are the reasons behind this antimicrobial resistance, and then we saw certain efforts taken by the government against this antimicrobial resistance, and then we also discussed what is the significance of the framework developed by the ICMR and Central Drug Standard Control Organization. So based on discussion, try to answer this prelims practice question. The question is, which of the following best defines antimicrobial resistance? So this question is asking for the best definition for the antimicrobial resistance. Option A, resistance of the plants to herbicides. Option B, ability of the pathogens to resist antimicrobial medicines. And option C, resistance of humans to bacterial infection. And option D, ability of antibiotics to kill pathogens. Definitely option D, option C, and option A are incorrect. The best answer is ability of pathogens to resist antimicrobial medicines. Yes, option B is the right answer. With this, we are coming to the conclusion for today's newspaper analysis. If you like the video, hit the like button, give your feedbacks as comments, and share this content with your friends. And before leaving this channel, don't forget to subscribe and also hit the bell icon to receive on-time update from Shankar IAS Academy. Thank you. Have a nice day.